All right, let's see how this goes. See how. See if this works. Trying to get online here. Give me 1 second. Let's see. I should be live. Welcome to live chat. Remember to guard your privacy. All right, let's see. We're going to wait for my. Let's try this. All right. We're going to give this a shot. So, due to special circumstances, we are going to be doing some online education. I tried the Zoom. That works pretty well. Tried Switcher Studio, which is kind of what I'm using now. But we did the whole Facebook Live. And now I'm going to do YouTube. Let's see which ones we have. Just want to introduce myself. My name is DeRosa. I have been teaching real estate for quite some time now, over 20 years. So we're just going to go ahead and get set up. We're going to wait for people to kind of log in. I know there were people waiting. So if you're online, go ahead and say something just to let me know you're there. I'm going to log in myself. Okay. Looks like we're a go. So it shows me and me. Get to my channel. So I guess the question I have is, how's everybody faring right about now? Being quarantined for as much as we've been quarantined, and I think it's only about to get worse, to be quite honest with you. Um, at least for 2 more weeks. It says I'm live now. There we go. Okay, cool, John. Thank you very much. Let's see. You know, tell me how the sound is on this, John, because like I said, this is all new to me. Um, and it's an interesting thing. I got my whole camera up here, so we got a cool little setup going on. Last time I did this on Zoom, we had some kind of hiss. So, oh, there's Darlin. All right, we had some kind of hiss the last time I did this. And tell me if there's a hiss, because I switched out my cables, and maybe that was the difference. I don't know. But I wanted to start doing some stuff here online. So I'm going to be looking at a lot more online education. So let's talk about, I guess the question I have is, and this should be this way so that I can look more into the camera. But I guess my question is, what device is everyone using? I hear a motor light buzzing in the background, but other than that, I can hear you. Okay. Sound is good. Still working every day as long as it's, yeah. Well, that's good. I hope everybody remains working. That's a good sign, even if it's in a what I call a lighter capacity. So, all right. So that's a good thing. Do not hear a hiss. Just it sounds like some motor is running. It might be a printer or something. Okay, as long as you can hear me clearly, that's good. I guess I'll play it back later and we'll go from there. But let's talk about real estate. Let me get you plugged into my iPad here so you can see my iPad. So for those of you that don't know me, you may be watching this later. We're doing this live, and this is an impromptu thing. I'm going to be doing more and more live. So, obviously, Lord knows how long we're going to be here in our houses, so there's no sense. People shouldn't be learning while they're sequestered or quarantined. And I guess out there, I would want to know how many people have an iPad versus an Android or versus a Surface. Now, a lot of you ask me every single day, what device do I use? And why? More importantly, why? Why did I choose this device over anything else? And the question is, I use an iPad Pro. As a matter of fact, the iPad Pro just came out, the new one. So if you get a chance, check it out. It's got a really cool keyboard, trackpad. So let me tell her I'm online. I'm on YouTube. It's been a crazy day, crazy week. I've been actually busier staying at home than I have been going out and about and running my appointments. It's crazy. All right, so let me show you. This is my iPad. People ask me all the time, why do you use an iPad? And quite honestly, the biggest reason I do that is because, in my opinion, it's the better device. Now, I shouldn't say that. It depends on what you're using it for. So those of you, I did this impromptu YouTube video to kind of go over some tech stuff. Okay. Now, the tech stuff I'm going to go over is basically going to be iPad related because that's simply what I use. But we can be talking about anything else that we have. So let me see if we have any questions. Questions as of yet, but if you have questions, go ahead, by all means, put them up there. And if you're not a subscriber, go ahead and hit the subscribe and the bell notification and give me a thumbs up so that it lets me know that you're listening and you at least like this information. But let's talk about my iPad and how I use it for real estate. And first, let me answer the question why I use it for real estate. I use it for real estate because, in my opinion, it's the best device. It gives me the best of all the worlds. Is it the perfect laptop? No, it's not. Not yet. They say that it is, or it's going to be. We'll see. That is not why I use it. The reason I use it is because you notice, I don't know if you can't really see it, but I still have, you can't see my laptop. I still have a laptop. I still use a laptop. Just because the iPad isn't a laptop. Now, they're telling everyone that it's going to be the laptop killer and it's going to be the next device and you're not going to need a laptop, you're just going to need that. And that may be true. And I hope that's true. But right now, I still need both. It's still not exactly where I want it to be. But I will tell you this. I don't use my laptop very much at all and haven't. Can you close that, please? And I haven't used it in a very long time in most capacities. Now, the thing I will tell you, the difference, the reason I still have two, people ask me, can I get rid of my laptop if I have an iPad? No, because here's why. An iPad, I classify it as two different ways. You've got productivity and you have creativity. When you're creating something, big spreadsheets, PowerPoints, big things, right? That require a lot of, I can't even say processing power because the iPad has a lot of processing power. But it more so than most laptops. But it's a functionality. Like if I'm going to be doing, I like the keyboard better. I like I might be able to hook up a different monitor and so on and so forth. It's just more conducive to work longer and for the eyes and everything. It's better. I can have a mouse, the whole 9 yards. Now, with the new iPad coming out, they have all that. They've added all that. So I suspect it will get much, much better. But here's the thing. I don't create a lot of stuff. I create it one time, so I may use my laptop to create a more difficult spreadsheet. Let me see, I've got some comments. More difficult spreadsheet. But once I create that, then I start using it. Then I just use it, and I'm more productive on my iPad. And the reason I can say, let me put this so it doesn't go to sleep. It's going to go to sleep on me. Whoops. And the reason I do that is because I use my iPad for everything. Anybody that knows me, then they know that, I do almost everything on my iPad. I mean, I'm never anywhere without it. So from that kind of standpoint, it is probably the most productive tool I've ever used. I watch everything. And I'm going to go through how I use it because a lot of you, this is a great opportunity for me to kind of highlight how I use my iPad. It's not necessarily going to teach you how to use an iPad, but a lot of you out there, a lot of my coaching students, they have asked me how I use it and why do I recommend. So that's kind of why I'm doing this. So let's talk about my iPad. So you'll notice what you see here is this is my desktop or dashboard, if you will. They call this a springboard, by the way, if you didn't know that. And at the very bottom, you have what I would term as my most frequently used stuff. So you can spin this and the bottom row doesn't move. Now, a lot of you are going to say, well, I have a Surface and I really like that. And that may be true. It's all in what you like. I've kind of grown up on this for years. I'll give you a little quick history, but for years, I've been in real estate. I was a district manager for Airborne Express many, many years ago, and I was also considered one of their efficiency experts where I would move around from station to station, and my job was to fix a failing station and make it better and make it more efficient. Well, I moved 7 times in 10 years, so I did a lot of that. And when I started in real estate, I had the same mindset. I'm like, okay, there's really nothing out there that's making me more efficient. Everything's so bogged down. Everything is so manual. Well, years ago when they had the tablet that you could turn, I don't even know what Panasonic maybe, or a Samsung, or no, it wasn't a Samsung. I can't remember what the computer was, but it had the thing that turned, like the lid turned and snapped down, but it was pretty thick, but you could write on it and the whole 9 yards. So I thought back then, I said, wow, wouldn't it be cool to take everything you need in real estate, in my real estate business, and put it in the palm of your hands? Because nobody had ever had it. Well, it worked okay, but a lot of people didn't have apps. They didn't even have apps back then. They didn't even know, I mean, we didn't even look at apps. We didn't even know what they were. Yeah, I'm going to make a quick comment. Tamika, if you could do me a favor and take a link and put it on GroupMe so that everybody else can find it, that would be great. I don't, obviously not going to have time to do that. So one of my students out there is listening. So anyways, I did this tablet thing, right? Loved my tablet. I spent a lot of money on this tablet, but it didn't quite do everything I wanted it to do, but it did a lot. And then when they came out with the iPad, I was like, oh my God, it was like the Red Sea opening or the skies parted. And I was like, okay, that's it. That's my tool. That's where I'm going to put my business in the palm of my hand. And it limped along. It was the best thing. They had lots of apps, and it took off like a rocket. Well, fast forward a little bit through the years, and then Android came out with theirs, and now the Surface comes out with theirs. And the problem I have with those devices is not everybody makes apps for those devices. Now, I don't get paid by Apple. I don't get any commissions from Apple. I don't do anything. I'm just an Apple freak, right? Everything I do. And, when Steve Jobs was alive, he made a comment, and he said, it just works. And he's right. Now, if I'm being truly honest, they've kind of slipped a little bit in their innovations, but they're still the best. Okay? Nobody can take that away from them. They're still probably the best run tech company out there. So I gravitated towards iPad, and I'm in the iPad or Apple ecosystem, and I like this because there are tons of apps. When somebody new comes into the market to write an app, the first thing they're going to write an app for is going to be the Apple device because there's so many of them. They have such a market share. Now someone's going to make a comment online, I get it, that there's as many, if not more, Android. Yes, that's the Android operating system. But when you talk about an entire package of the manufacturer from the device to the software, because you're talking about two different things. Are you talking about iOS and your Android platform, their software? Yeah, there may be the same, or everyone's arguing who does what more, or who has more customers. But at the end of the day, Apple has a very huge market share, and anyone that's creating something is naturally going to create something. If they're on a limited budget, they're going to create something for the Apple device first. It's just like when you look at Kleenex and you call a facial tissue. When you call a facial tissue, this right here. Okay, this is called Kleenex. Well, we tend to call these Kleenexes right here, even if it's a different brand, because Kleenex was the first one to come into the marketplace. So we call these Kleenexes, even though it's a facial tissue. Right? So people tend to do that. So long story short, which is probably too late, let's take a look at so this is why I did this. And this is why I use this device. It's, if I could show you here, it's relatively small. You have that size and you have this size, relatively small. And I like that because I can pretty much take that with me anywhere I go, anywhere. So let's go back. So I've put these folders on my screen. So I'm going to I don't know how to zoom in on these yet, but I'll just do it this way. I just took a snapshot of it, and we can kind of show you. You'll notice these are And again, I'm not your professional YouTuber, so for those of you out there in YouTube land that are going to critique me, I'm sorry. The only thing I can say is I'll get better at it. But these are folders. You can see I have these folders set up. And I have pre-installed, and that's a lot of what, if you were to look in there, that's all the stuff that when you buy the device, it comes on your device. And then, like your app store, your phone, your camera, your clock, photos, your maps, Find My iPad, your education that comes on the iPad itself. Okay, I don't really deal with that stuff on an everyday basis, so I basically just throw it in its own folder and generally don't go in there. All right, then you have what I call communication. And I'll go into each one of these in a minute. But then I have cloud services, office apps, note-taking, due diligence, and that's specifically for the real estate folks. Contracts and forms, rehab, property management, finance. Now, when you get down below here, it tends to take on more of a personal approach because I use my iPad in 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year in every aspect of my life. So it's not just my business. I don't use it just for my business. So if any of you ever had an opportunity to, I teach a class on time management. And one of the things that I would teach you is the more things you enter into, the more devices you have. So a lot of people will have, like when they take notes, they'll have a notebook, they'll have an iPad or some kind of mobile device, they'll have a laptop, they'll have a phone, they'll have a portfolio of some kind of leather portfolio. And they carry all these devices around with them because they think it makes them more organized. And the truth of the matter is it makes them that much more unorganized because when you have more than one device to write everything in, or then you have a greater chance for every device that you add. Right now, for the most part, I use two devices. I use my phone and I use my iPad. Those are the only two I use. You generally won't see me taking notes. If I do, I'm going to take them on my iPad. So generally speaking, I like to keep everything I do on my iPad. So let's take a look at that. So we have due diligence. Then we have contracts and forms, rehab, property management, finance. And then over here I have entertainment. And again, when I say that, I mention that because this is a 24-hour-a-day thing. So if I'm sitting waiting for somebody at an appointment, or I'm at the airport, or I'm at I don't go to a barber shop anymore, but anywhere, if I'm sitting waiting for somebody, I can do something that's either productive or fun. So that, which brings me to the stuff down below. So now I have food, travel, social media, any news, audio visual stuff, because I do a lot of editing now, especially with the iPad being so powerful. I do a lot of that stuff. Almost everything I do is on here. Whoops. And automation, I have a home automation. Everything I use is run by Alexa. So you can turn my lights on, turn my dishwasher on, turn my disposal on, turn my vacuum on, all from my voice. Then I have time management, games, shopping, any kind of payments or stuff that I do. So everything I do is pretty much at my fingertips here. Healthcare, to be filed. So like this is a folder right here, just so you know. Is stuff that as I download, because I probably download more stuff to test than you guys have in a week than you guys have on your device an entire year. So stuff that I like that I'm going to go later here's some more driving for dollars stuff, some Google stuff. But generally down here is where that particular thing doesn't move. That stays put. Like when I move these are called springboards. So when I move this springboard from one page to another, that bottom row stays. I kind of like that. All right. So, by the way, if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them down. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. So let's take a look at communications. So in that folder, I have several things. I have my Line 2, I have Skype, I have other telephone type apps. Anything that it would involve communication. I have my cloud because lots of people send me stuff. So all the cloud services, I have Google Drive, OneDrive, Amazon S3, my cloud, my local one, and then there's some more I'll show you as we get further down. Then we have Office apps. Now, for me, I've created a folder called Office apps and have a bunch of stuff in here. Anything that I feel is something in an office environment. Numbers, Keynote, Pages, those are all your Apple ones. eFax, which I don't even know if anybody uses eFax anymore, but I used to, and it's still in there. I actually got rid of that. But then there's Goodreader, that's file management. I have a scanner app, Excel, Word, and Pages. Excel, Word, and PowerPoint. And then you have Slides, Sheets, and Docs. Those are all what I would call the different. You've got Google, you've got Microsoft, and you've got Apple. Those are all the ones that a lot of you send me stuff in different versions. So I gotta have those. Then I have Keeper, which if you're like most everybody, you have all these passwords all over the place. I recommend 2 password apps. It's either going to be Keeper, or I just downloaded a new one called LastPass. Okay, so LastPass looks like that red one right there. So if you're interested in that, I just downloaded it, so it is right there on your right-hand side of your screen. So you can see, like, these are all the apps that I use. So let's go into note-taking, because this is an area where, gosh, there's 1,000, there's probably more than 1,000. There's what I call dozens, and I don't know, there's thousands of note-taking apps. Some are better than others. The ones that I recommend, and it's not just note-taking apps, it's also time management type apps. So there's Notability, that's a very popular one, Planner Plus, and these integrate, which I'll kind of show. I'm not going to show all of them. We don't have time for that. But these are also, not to mention note-taking apps, but also can be grouped together as like a day timer, a day planner. And I'll show you what I use. Those are all the ones that I've used in the past that I kind of tend to go back and forth with. Then you have Due Diligence. Now this is one that I will spend a little bit of time on. And again, this is for, I did this whole video today for my coaching students that are sitting at home, bored to tears, and would like to learn something. And I figured, why not? Let's try. I've been doing Zoom, and I've been doing Facebook Live, but I figured, let's try YouTube, see how it goes. By the way, if you just joined in, please do me a favor. Hit the subscribe button, the notification button, and the like button. That will really help me out. Now, you've got Google Maps. You've got Waze. These are all what I call due diligence. Google Maps obviously teaches you um, where to go, like it's GPS. But we also use it in a way that I can go as I'm driving for dollars, and I don't really think anybody else is teaching this out there, so I'm just going to throw this out there. I can go into my places, and you will see map. And if I uploaded a whole bunch of addresses to Google, you can see that if I were driving for dollars and that was my method of choice, well, there's my blue dot right there, and I didn't download any houses, because when I did this particular map, I was at a seminar that was kind of right in the heart of where those blue dots are. So we did what's called a triple D event, which is dialing for dollars, driving for dollars, and door knocking. Well, this is considered driving for dollars and door knocking. So I uploaded 3 different lists. One is I live in Fulton County in Johns Creek, Georgia, but I downloaded the Gwinnett County absentee. There's 5,000 of those. The DeKalb absentee and vacant list, which I stacked those together, and then the absentee inherited DeKalb and Gwinnett. So it's an absent list, an inherited list in both counties. So you'll see the first one was blue, the second one is red, the third one is green. So what better way to jump in my vehicle and go, okay, well, you know what, if I was driving for dollars, do I really want to drive around in that area right there? Well, no, probably not, because there's nothing there to get me started. But if I go, well, let's do that area right there. There's lots of red and greens in that area. I can go door to door, and then while I'm out looking at those, I can find vacant houses. So if any of you have been doing that in the past, where you've gone and you've been driving for dollars, getting started is probably the hardest part. So I don't just use Google Maps for Google Maps. I use it for lots of things. So, and obviously I have Zillow Rentals and Zillow. Now some of you, I use Zillow to run all my comps. Now some of you are going, oh, Zillow sucks, or Zillow is not very good. That is absolutely couldn't be further from the truth. What you're probably looking at, and what you're probably make that statement is, the Zillow's estimates might be garbage. Yeah, that's probably true in some cases. But the Zillow, there's 2 colors that you should be paying attention to, the red and the yellow. Red is the for sales, the yellow is sold. Those are as accurate as multiple listing. I don't care where you are. Okay, so I use those, and we'll be doing some more information on, if you like this, we'll be doing some more information on how to go in and evaluate these deals. Right now I'm just talking, getting myself acclimated to YouTube here live, but we're going to be bringing to you different shows on different elements, which will be much more what I call organized and succinct. You have Realtor.com, Rent-A-Meter, Landglide. Now this is one that most people may or may not be aware of, but Landglide, and I think this is available on both platforms, I think. But Landglide will allow you, so let's just take a look at this for a second. You put my blue dot, so let me get out of here and get into a different neighborhood. So let's suppose I was driving down the street. You can see in the center of your screen this, my little plus sign. But as I drive, you can see me highlighted. Well, that tells me who owns that property. So if I go and say, okay, let me check out this one, at the very bottom, if I clicked on that, it'll tell me who owns that. And then it'll go in here and it'll tell me, if I hit agree, it'll tell me what the tax records are and everything about that property. All for about $9 a month, I think, is what the price is. And that's called Land Glide. So you can pretty much find anything you want. There's lots of resources, lots of things we can do with that, but that's one of them. Then you have Power One, which is a financial calculator. Site-wise, now, I don't know about the rest of you, but I just did my, let's see, I don't understand the question from Darlin. It says, when you something, what app is this? That app that I just went over is called Land Glide, LandGlide. So, but if you're like me, I just got my U.S. Census 2020 census information. Because I was bored, I went and I did it. It takes about 10 minutes to do. But then they're going to load that information up onto a site similar to what's called SiteWise. Or they'll also do it on one that's called, Demographics as well. And basically what it is it'll tell you, you can set the radius. But the reason I use it is because I like to know how many of all the area. So when I'm looking at a house, I want to know what the demographics are. Because, have you ever heard of someone buying a house? And even though they got it really cheap, they fixed it up and then they can't sell it. They can't sell it retail anyway, so then they're forced to rent it. Well, 9 times out of 10, they either did a couple things. They either didn't renovate it well enough, or they're asking too much, or they bought it in an area that is more predominantly a rental area than a buy, fix, and flip. So here's how you can determine that. So there's my half a mile radius where I live in Johns Creek. But this tells me that 92.19% of all the houses in that half a mile radius is occupied. Well, they're occupied with 79% owners and 20% renters. And then there's only 6%, almost 7% vacant. Okay? Well, what does that mean? That means that you have a property. It's a lot of people want to live here. But if you took and if I went somewhere, let's see if I can do this. Put that here in the city. Let me pick a different place. Someplace to. Find an area of town that is mostly rentals. Okay? So even if you just pick this. Okay, here's a perfect example. In this particular area right here, it has 73% occupied. That means over 25, I never understood the math here, but basically what that means is about 25% of each of those units, almost 3 out of every 10 have nobody in them. They're vacant. Okay, so 75% of the population or houses have somebody in them. 25 do not. I'm rounding, of course. But then if you look at the 75 or 73% that have somebody in them, only 30% of those are occupied by homeowners. The other 69% are occupied by renters. And if you take the 69% on top of the 23%, you're talking about a large percentage of renters or vacant properties. So I don't care how cheap you got that property, if you think you're going to go buy, fix, and flip that, you're mistaken. Especially if you don't do a good enough job. You're going to get frustrated and you're going to drop the price, keep dropping. Now, somebody asked me, let's see. Those are 2 separate things. I was just saying that when you do announcement of the YouTube thing about using Zillow, I'm on it. Okay, good. Are the apps free that I'm talking about? Generally, no. think this app right here that I'm talking about, this demographics, is free, I think. I'm not 100% certain. But this will tell you that apps like this, and especially now, because this app right here is running on old census data, because they pulled it from census data. So, yeah, um, not the greatest data in the world. However, when this 2020 comes out, the data will now be fresh, and you'll be able to have a little better opportunity of pinpointing. So let me see what else I can show you. Then you have Spot Crime, which is another app that, depending on where you are. Okay, so let's just scroll down to, let's just scroll right here and see. These are the types of crimes that are happening. There was an assault on February 16th. There was listed as other, not sure what the other means, but what you can do is you can go out, suspicious activity, and it'll tell you. Okay, it'll actually take you out there and show you. So it's a pretty cool app. Like this one right here is assault. That one right there is theft. And you can kind of see what kind of crime. This one I'm guessing is vandalism. Yep. So you can kind of see depending on the area. So depending on what part of town you're in, let's get down in the city. Like in the city, for example, you can see the difference in the type of crimes there are. Like that was burglary, theft. A lot of these are going to be theft. So you get a lot of theft and burglary in this area. Not a lot of assaults, but just theft and burglary. And as you move your cursor around, you can kind of see what happened. You can kind of get an idea of which area is more crime-ridden. Like this area right in here, there's a lot of crime in that area right there. A lot of theft. So, lots of apps like that can help you. And then I'm just going to go to one more, and then because we've already been on here 42 minutes, and this was just a test for me. But we have another one called Tap Glance. This is a rehab one for me that I use all the time. And Tap Glance is a way, people ask me, how do I take a ugly house, the house that's not gutted, and determine what I want to do with it? Well, I use an app like this where I come in and I take the dimensions, and then I simply go in and I move walls around, and I can, like here, you can see here I have a sink that I had used in there and I changed it out. But then I move walls. Like there used to be a wall right there, that blue right there in the center of your screen, that was a wall. That was a real wall that was currently there. So then once I do that, and I took it out. So now if you look at that wall is not there. And I can put all of that information. And it's pretty simple to do once you play around with it. But I can take any dimensions and I can move walls around, I can add hallways, I can add furniture, so I can get an idea of what my house is going to look like before I finish the rehab. Now, I don't think this one is free also, but it is very, very cool and works really well. So there's lots of apps that I'm going to show you, but this is just kind of a precursor. So if you're interested and you'd like to learn more, you can obviously hit this like button. Please hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the share button. I want to try to build as many followers as I can. And just so you know, this is me. But I can also, if you're interested, you can go to our Facebook group. We have a Facebook group, or you can go to my website or our website called ppgcoaching.com. I do a online coaching where we spend an entire year with you from A to Z. It's online. It's live in person. We stream it. You get about 18 different courses with it. You get a weekly coaching call, a weekly in-person live session. There's lots of stuff you get. You can go to that website and check it out if you want. We have other Facebook pages. If you want, you can go to Property Protege and follow us there. You can also go to my personal Facebook page, although I don't think I have enough room for people to log in. I mean, to become friends. You may just have to follow me until I get rid of some friends. I'm at 5,000, I think. I think that is pretty much it that I wanted to cover today. I'm going to be doing a lot more of these, and they're going to be very specific, maybe 10 or 15 minute segments. More like a YouTube channel, at least right now. I'm just getting my feet wet on this whole thing. So hopefully you liked it. If so, please subscribe and give me any kind of comments that you want. I'd love to hear your comments. If you have questions, I do read every single comment, so ask away. If there's any videos that you want me to specifically do, I'm happy to do those. So I'm just trying to get my feet wet on this whole online process. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Until next time, this is Don DeRosa saying thank you very much. And stay safe, wash your hands, and see you next time. Have a good day.